After I refused to babysit my coworker's project again, he snapped, "If you actually knew what you were doing, maybe people would want your help." I waited, said nothing, and watched as his entire project collapsed without me, in front of clients and senior management. When they asked him who approved his plan, he couldn't answer because it was supposed to be me.
I work at a software company in Raleigh, North Carolina. We're not a big-name tech company, but we handle large clients, shipping companies, healthcare systems, government contractors. Serious stuff. If something breaks, people notice. If we screw up, we lose contracts. Real money is on the line. My job title is Systems Analyst. Basically, I'm the person who reads through messy technical plans and makes sure everything fits together: code, infrastructure, security, compliance. I've been doing this for about 7 years. I'm not flashy, I'm not loud, and I don't hang out in the break room pretending I'm a genius. But I know what I'm doing. Then there's Eric. Eric came in maybe a year and a half after me. Same department. Right away, I could tell what kind of guy he was. Talks big. Talks fast. Laughs too hard at his own jokes. He didn't actually know how anything worked under the hood. But he had this way of saying the right buzzwords in meetings that made managers nod along like he was some kind of visionary. He figured out early on that I was the guy people trusted with the hard stuff. So he started latching onto my work. Not officially. We didn't report to each other, but he'd ask for input, then turn that into co-created, and then eventually led by Eric when he spoke to leadership. It started small. He'd pop into my office and ask, "Hey man, can you look at this API call real quick?" Or, "I've got a deadline and I'm stuck on the integration test suite, mind giving it a glance?" At first, I helped. I thought maybe he was new to this kind of work. I didn't mind sharing my experience. But it didn't stop. Week after week, it got worse. He started assuming I'd do things for him. Didn't even ask half the time. He'd submit documentation with both our names, but I hadn't touched the project. Or worse, he'd present to the client and say our team when really, he meant me. Then came the Friday. It was about 4:45 p.m., and I was already shutting down my computer. Eric walked by, dropped a folder on my desk, and said, "You're great with containerization, right? I need this deployed by Monday. You got this, right?" I stared at him. I said, "No. I'm not doing your work anymore." He blinked. Then laughed. And then he said it. "If you actually knew what you were doing, maybe people would want your help." Said it loud. Real loud. The intern sitting a few desks down actually looked over. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. Then I nodded once and walked out. I wasn't angry. Not then. I was tired. From that moment on, I made a decision. No more saving him. No more cleaning up behind him. No more giving advice, no more second chances. He wanted to play the expert? Fine. Let him. He still tried to pull me into things. Sent emails asking for my input, tagged me and shared docs with vague questions like, "Would love your thoughts." I ignored every single one. If he needed help, he could ask management. He never did. He thought he had it covered. A month later, he got assigned a huge project. A brand new client. One of the biggest logistics firms in the Southeast. This was the kind of deal that made or broke entire quarters for us. Eric pitched a system to them that was way beyond his understanding. Full back-end tracking with live sync, RESTful APIs, cloud-based infrastructure with zero downtime updates, end-to-end encryption, multi-platform support. All the buzzwords, all the dreams, but no actual plan. He convinced upper management to make him project lead. I think he even told them he had a seasoned technical partner backing him. He meant me. I wasn't part of it. He started assigning tasks to developers, but the pieces didn't make sense. Devs were confused. One came to me and said, "This architecture file doesn't match the deployment path." I shrugged. "Ask Eric." Eric asked me to just look over the deployment sequence. I didn't respond. He came by my desk, fake friendly, and said, "Hey, I sent you the draft yesterday. Could really use your approval on the compliance checklist." I said, "No." He tried again. "Come on, man. It's just a formality." "No, Eric. It's not." Then he tried to guilt me. "You're really gonna let the whole thing fall apart over something petty?" I looked him right in the eye. "I'm not letting anything fall apart. You are." And I went back to my work. The presentation was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. The client flew in from Atlanta. 2 of their senior VPs were in the room. Our director of engineering sat right next to Eric. I was in the back. I wasn't listed as part of the project. I was just observing. At first, the demo ran fine. The login screen showed up. The dashboard loaded. Then the problems started. The live shipment tracking feed returned errors. The delivery ETA calculations were off by entire days. The API threw 500-level failures. Then, the security audit tool, something I had created for another project, flagged a missing encryption layer. The client VPs started whispering to each other. One of them leaned forward and asked, "Who approved this configuration?" Eric stammered. It went through internal review." The director asked, "Who signed off?" Silence. Eric looked at me. I didn't say a word. Because my name wasn't on any of it. I hadn't touched a single part. He had cut me out, on paper, but counted on me to save him anyway. And I didn't. The meeting ended fast. The clients didn't even stay for coffee. Our director of engineering looked like she was about to explode. Eric was asked to stay behind. Later that afternoon, HR called him in. The next morning, his desk was empty. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone. I never said a word to anyone about what happened. But 2 days later, my boss walked into my office and said, "We've looked over the last 6 projects. Your name comes up a lot. Quietly, but consistently. Keep doing what you're doing. You're being considered for a new role." I said thank you. That's it. Eric burned himself trying to stand on work that wasn't his. And I didn't have to lift a finger. I thought it was over. After Eric was fired, things at work felt calm. Quiet. I could focus again. I didn't have to look over my shoulder, double-check someone else's work, or fix problems at 2 a.m. that had nothing to do with me. My projects started moving faster. Fewer delays. Fewer mistakes. I was finally getting credit for my work instead of being the hidden cleanup crew behind someone else's shine. Then something strange happened. About a month later, during a Friday all-hands meeting, our director of engineering, Meredith, gave an update about the logistics client, the one Eric blew up. She said, "We're reopening discussions with them. They're giving us another shot, but only under different leadership." Everyone clapped. I didn't. I knew what that meant. After the meeting, Meredith called me into her office. She got straight to the point. "They're willing to work with us again, but only if we guarantee full technical oversight from someone with experience." "That's you." I said, "Okay. I'll do it." She nodded. Then added, "Just so you know, they've also asked for someone from their side to sit in on all planning meetings. Their new liaison is very hands-on." Fine. I didn't mind extra eyes. We'd burned them pretty badly the first time. They had every right to be cautious. But when I walked into the first kickoff call the following Monday, that's when things shifted. The client's liaison? It was Eric's sister. Her name was Vanessa. She didn't introduce herself as Eric's sister at first. Just said she was senior tech advisor on the client's end. But I recognized the last name right away. Same smug smile. Same habit of interrupting people mid-sentence. Same sharp tone when she didn't like something. It wasn't until later that day, after the call, when a coworker looked her up on LinkedIn and confirmed it. Vanessa Martin, Director of Technology Integration at the client company. And yes, Eric's older sister. That explained a lot. She didn't waste time. From the start, she acted like I was the one who had wrecked the project. She nitpicked every draft, second-guessed my decisions, and sent long, aggressive emails at weird hours. She CC'd her boss on every message. She started demanding changes that didn't make sense, calling them industry standard, even when they weren't. At first, I tried to stay calm. Professional. Detached. I reminded her, and our team, that we were rebuilding the system from scratch, and that I was the one writing the architecture this time. But she didn't want to rebuild. She wanted revenge. She started slipping comments into meetings like, well, the last time someone in your position was in charge, things didn't go so well, did they? Or let's just make sure someone doesn't go silent again when things go south. She was trying to get under my skin. Trying to provoke me into making a mistake. It got worse. A week into the rebuild, she forwarded one of my internal Slack messages, taken out of context, to her boss, claiming I was hostile. She told our mutual client contact that I was a bad fit for collaborative work. When my manager tried to push back, she said she'd take the whole project to a competitor if I wasn't closely managed. That's when I realized something: she wasn't just defending her brother. She was trying to finish what he started. I decided I wasn't going to let her take me down. But I wasn't going to fight her the way she wanted. No angry emails. No sarcastic replies. No defensiveness. I was going to document everything. Every change request she made. Every false claim. Every contradictory instruction. I started CCing my own manager on every response. I created a shared document where I logged every major communication. I even had timestamps showing when she approved something, only to later claim she hadn't. People started to notice. My manager pulled me aside one afternoon and said, "I've seen her emails. You're doing the right thing. Just keep records. Don't take the bait." So I did. And then she slipped up. She sent a request for a feature that directly violated a federal data compliance rule, HIPAA level sensitive. I replied, explaining it would put both our companies at legal risk. I quoted the rule. I gave her an alternative. She pushed back, in writing, saying, "We've done this before. Just get it done. No need to bring legal into it." I flagged it. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I forwarded it to our legal compliance officer. Quietly. Privately. 3 days later, that officer looped in Meredith, HR, and our CEO. And just like that, everything changed again. I figured that email would stir the pot. I didn't expect the explosion that followed. The morning after legal got involved, I walked into work and found my calendar blocked off for a compliance emergency review. Meredith was already waiting in the conference room when I got there. She looked tired. Serious. The head of legal, a woman named Ruth, sat next to her. I'd never even met her in person until that day. Before I could sit down, Ruth said, "We need to talk about this request from the client." She pulled up Vanessa's email, the one where she asked me to ignore federal data regulations, and read it out loud. Then she said something that made my stomach turn. This isn't the first time she's pushed for this kind of shortcut. We found 2 similar requests in archived threads, both during Eric's time on the project. I just stared at her. "What are you saying?" Meredith looked me in the eye. "We think Eric might have cut corners on compliance before that failed demo. We just didn't catch it at the time." Then Ruth added, "And we believe Vanessa knew." She's trying to replicate his plan. Quietly. Behind the scenes. So now I was looking at something deeper than just personal revenge. This wasn't just a bitter sister trying to protect her brother's name. This was something else. Vanessa was trying to push a broken, illegal shortcut into our rebuild, because it worked for her company in the past. Because it was fast. Cheap. Profitable. And I'd gotten in the way. That afternoon, Meredith told me to stop all technical work on the rebuild and just document. Every interaction. Every message. Every approval. It was clear we were headed toward a confrontation. But Vanessa didn't know we were onto her yet. She still acted like she was in charge. At the next joint planning meeting, she showed up smug, smiling. She started tossing around words like underperformance and missed expectations. She said, "We're going to need to reevaluate your role in this if timelines keep slipping." I didn't answer. I just watched. Then Meredith spoke. Actually, she said calmly, "We'll be reevaluating the entire project scope. Legal has some questions. You'll be getting a formal letter by Monday." Vanessa froze. That was the first time I saw her flinch. Still, she played it cool. Said she welcomed transparency. But her voice cracked just a little. Her eyes shifted. She knew. She was losing control. That weekend, I got a LinkedIn message. It was from a fake account. No name, no photo. But the message was clear: better hope people don't find out why Eric really got fired. I stared at it for a long time. At first, I thought maybe it was just an empty threat. But then I remembered something. Eric never knew exactly how he got caught. He probably guessed, but I never spoke to him after that failed demo. And no one at the company ever told him I was the one who refused to sign off. Vanessa must have figured it out later. She must have known who stopped her brother's mess from getting covered up. Now she was coming after me outside of work. I reported the message. Took a screenshot. Sent it to HR. Then I changed every password I had, set up two-factor authentication on everything, and locked down my accounts. But the message shook me. Because if she was desperate enough to threaten me behind a burner profile, I didn't know what else she was willing to do. The following week, things moved fast. Legal launched a formal inquiry. Our company froze all development on the logistics system. Our VP reached out directly to the client's executive team. They said they had no idea Vanessa had been pressuring us to bypass compliance. Apparently, she'd been reporting up the chain with completely different summaries. Now they were opening an internal investigation. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. Because while all this was happening, Vanessa made one final move. She went to LinkedIn and posted a long, vague message accusing an unnamed systems analyst of sabotaging client projects due to ego and jealousy, claiming that her brother had been pushed out unfairly. She didn't say my name. But everyone at work knew who she meant. She used my job title. She mentioned the city. She even hinted at the timeline. People started messaging me. Some supportive. Some confused. One coworker asked, "Did you really get Eric fired?" And that's when I decided I was done playing defense. She wanted a war? She was about to see what it looks like when you try to drag the quiet guy through the mud, and forget that he's been collecting receipts the entire time. The moment Vanessa posted that message, I knew she had crossed a line. It didn't matter that she didn't name me directly. The damage was real. Clients saw it. Coworkers saw it. Friends in the industry reached out, asking if I was okay, if the post was about me. The fact that people even suspected meant she had done enough harm. So I called Meredith. "I'm done," I told her. "Either we go all the way with this, or I walk." She didn't hesitate. "We're already on it," she said. That same day, our legal team filed a formal complaint with the client's executive board. Not just about Vanessa's conduct, but about Eric's original project and how they had both tried to push non-compliant features into the system, risking lawsuits for both companies. Our team handed over every email, every Slack message, every approval request. We showed the timeline of when Eric asked me to sign off and how I refused. We gave them the burner message. We even gave them the LinkedIn post. All of it. Turns out, Ruth, our head of legal, used to work in federal tech compliance. She had contacts. Powerful ones. By the end of the week, the client's internal investigation exploded. And then, came the fallout. Vanessa was fired. Publicly. Immediately. And not quietly. The client company issued a formal press release about a former team member who had misrepresented internal protocols and violated cross-company agreements. They didn't mention her by name either, but just like with me, everyone knew. Her LinkedIn post vanished the same day. But it was too late. Because I had already taken screenshots. And I had sent them to legal. That's when our company did something I never expected. They sued us, suing them. They filed for damages based on project delays, client-side misrepresentation, and personal defamation of an employee in a professional capacity. That employee was me. My name was in the complaint. I'd become the center of a legal war. I won't lie. That part was terrifying. I had meetings with attorneys, had to go through all my emails, all my project files. I had to talk to HR about how I handled Eric's collapse, how I handled Vanessa's pushback, and how I protected the company from breaking federal law. And in every single meeting, I had the truth on my side. I never cut corners. I never agreed to the shortcuts. I never said a word about Eric after he was fired. I kept records. I stayed quiet. And now it was all paying off. The lawsuit dragged on for months. Vanessa tried to fight back, claimed her post was a personal opinion. That didn't hold. Eric tried to deny that he had ever asked me to lie. But we had messages. Logs. Documents. Eventually, the client company settled. They paid out a mid-six-figure sum to our firm. Part of that went directly to cover reputational harm and workplace retaliation damages. They paid me $75,000. Straight to my account. Taxed, of course, but still. That wasn't even the best part. The real win came 2 months later. I was offered a new position. Director of Technical Architecture. Full control over systems compliance. No more babysitting. No more being stuck behind the scenes. A full team, budget control, and reporting directly to the VP of Engineering. I accepted. With one condition. I wanted the authority to set policy on internal sign-offs and compliance documentation. I didn't want another Eric situation happening again. I didn't want someone slipping through the cracks, talking big while dumping broken code into our systems. They agreed. And my first policy? No project goes forward unless every system lead signs off, no exceptions, no excuses. Eric disappeared from the industry after that. I heard rumors he moved states. Tried to rebrand. Vanessa's reputation was ruined. Tech circles are small. People talk. Neither of them work in tech anymore. I didn't feel sorry for them. They both built a house on lies and expected me to hold it up for them. When I walked away, it all came down. And me? I still don't talk much at work. Still keep to myself. But now, when I speak, people listen. Because they know what happens when someone tries to step on me to get ahead. They fall. Hard. And this time, I didn't lift a finger to catch them.